Hey, this is Ryan from Eminence. I wanted to do a video to talk through my strategies with responsive search ads. Now that they've been really the go-to ad, the only ad you can create in Google Ads for almost a year. I actually don't have an outline for this video, but I'm just going to talk through one account in my process for creating ads since I just did it in this new account. I know some of you are still holding on to expanded search ads, even though it's been a year since you could create them. They could still run in your account, but I have been removing them. As you can see in this account here, I haven't been running expanded search ads for several months. I've only been creating responsive search ads since June or even before that. When Google makes changes like this, even though it's difficult to kind of go with the change, I tend to just go with it because I know it's the direction they're headed. So I would recommend, if you haven't released your grip on expanded text ads, I think it's time. It's now May of 2023, and yeah, they're the only ones you could create. You can't edit expanded ads, and they're probably going to be deleted entirely soon. So anyway, I'm going to show you what I do, my basic strategy on creating responsive search ads. So if I go into one new ad I created here, first of all, I will mention that I pretty much create one responsive search ad per ad group. So if we were to click on one ad group, you're usually going to see one responsive search ad. I am curious to hear what others are doing with responsive search ads, so definitely comment some of your strategies after watching the video. Yeah, I'd love to hear what you guys are doing with responsive search ads, but I typically create one per ad group because it naturally creates its own variations and tests out all the different assets that you're adding. I really never find a need to add different ad sets or responsive search ad sets. You might be doing that if you're testing like an entirely different approach, testing out like entirely different messaging with a second ad set. But again, I've never really had the need to do that. So I'm usually going to have one responsive search ad per ad group, and each ad group, the way I do things is its own theme. So I can pretty much theme a responsive search ad to that ad group, but usually different ad groups are also within a campaign going to have very similar or just copies of the same responsive search ad. So if I click on this one, final URL, I don't really do anything with display paths. I just feel like that's a waste of time. Let me know if you disagree. I always add 15 headlines. If you're not adding 15, you got to at least fill that up because that's an easy way to get the ad strength up. You pretty much want to have an ad strength of excellent. It's not hard to do. And, Google reps have told me that this is important. They definitely consider ad strength in the auction to show the best ad. So why not have your ad strength be at excellent, since, again, it's easy to do. One thing to consider when you're writing the initial 3 headlines is that Google encourages you to write the first 3 as if they're going to appear together. So they say in the tips in their help docs, try writing the first 3 headlines as if they'll appear together in your ad. And I try to do this because I assume that when they start off responsive search ad, probably the first way they're going to show it is with the first 3 in a row because they need to get data. They need to start somewhere. So they're probably going to start with the first 3. So I believe that's why it makes sense and why they tell you to write the first 3 as if they'll appear together. So you wouldn't want like commercial lease attorney followed by commercial lease lawyer and commercial lease help, all 3 together, because there's a good chance those are going to show together to start, and then they're going to figure out that it doesn't get a good click-through rate and they're going to adjust it. But why not start with a good 3 headlines that fit together? So I typically use like a keyword headline that matches like the overall keyword of the ad group, maybe a call to action, and then probably like the company name if it fits well in there. So that's typically my setup for the first 3. I do like to use dynamic keyword headlines. So this is dynamically entering the keyword that's searched if it fits. If it doesn't fit, they'll just use my default keyword here. I also like to use the location insertion if I can. So like this one says lease help in Honolulu, or the location that is matched to the searcher. So I think that's pretty powerful, and you can kind of see that at work. If I click through here, so I was trying to click through the previews here to find an example of location, but they'll match the location. It'll say lease help in, and then it'll put the person's city. But they're not actually displaying that headline, so I can't show you. But it is good to kind of go through these previews just to read some of these to make sure your headlines are kind of fitting well together. So I tend to write a lot of calls to action and like value headlines like trusted legal advisors, 18 plus years legal experience, because I think Google's going to usually use my main keyword headline. They're also going to end up using this dynamic keyword insertion a lot. So I don't feel like I need to add a lot of keywords into the headlines. I'll probably add those two, maybe one or two other variations, but you'll see that I'm mostly adding like value-based, or these are pretty much all like value headlines, or some kind of call to action. I probably could add another call to action in here, like a free consultation or something like that if they offer it. But again, it's going to be a mix mostly of calls to action and value headlines. And actually in this preview here, commercial tenant lawyer near me, that's not actually one of my headlines. So they're just showing an example of the keyword being inserted there and what that looks like. So obviously there's a lot of strategies in terms of the language you're using, using good marketing language, interesting words, maybe things that catch your eye. One thing I like to do is to have numbers and symbols wherever possible. So like this person had 18 plus years on their website, so I definitely love to put numbers in, or like 10,000 clients served, because I think it catches the eye. If you even look at this preview, you can see how the 18 plus stands out. And if I can ever use a symbol, like instead of and, it'll shorten the text, but it also just kind of stands out. So numbers and symbols are big, but obviously you could always improve your language and make it interesting. It's easy to write boring ads, I think, but it's much more difficult to write compelling ads with interesting language that kind of draws people in. So like using words like trusted, expertise, customized are always things that I try to do. I try to pull some of that from the website just so I'm matching the language that the advertiser or my client is using, but I don't always find good language on their website. So sometimes I'm having to generate it on my own. So for descriptions, I honestly don't spend a lot of time on them. My main thing is trying to get close to the 90 characters. I usually pull some text from their website, some calls to action, some like value-based text from their website or from the headlines. I don't think people read them very much, to be honest. So they should be good, spend a little bit of time on them, but I think the headlines are way more important. So I don't use pinning. I mean, if I were to pin a few of these, you'll immediately see, in most cases, you'll see the ad strength go down. So Google doesn't really recommend pinning. So I pinned 3 of them only, and it went down to good. So really, you just got to trust that Google's going to test these out and use the best combinations. If you absolutely have to pin them, you could pin something like, if you want Ziva Law or the company name to only show in the second position, you could obviously do that. I don't recommend it because it kind of eliminates the whole purpose of responsive search ads, and it lowers your ad strength. So obviously there's more on this page, but that gets into ad assets, which I'm not showing in this video, but I do use all the ad assets I can, because those are just going to make your ad look better and boost your click-through rate. But that should just give you an overall idea of how I'm thinking about responsive search ads. One of the reasons I'm making this video is I am kind of curious what other people are thinking. I have watched a few other videos, but I'm curious how you use them, what you think of my ideas. So definitely comment below. Let me know your thoughts on my strategies and maybe add a few ideas of your own. Make sure to check out some of my other Google Ads videos, and we'll see you on the next one.